And welcome back. Our next guest is Phyllis Satoff, Executive Director and CEO of Port Freeport, just south of Houston, Texas, the fastest growing port in Texas. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Matt.
All right, it's great to have you. Can you share your insight with us on women in non-traditional roles like industrial jobs and what trends you're seeing?
Well, in the maritime industry, there are a lot of non-traditional roles, and many that were, solely held by men in the past. But now, in every aspect of the maritime industry, you can find women in roles, and from engineering positions to the U.S. Coast Guard, Customs, Border and Protection, ILA, women that are working the cargo on the ships, maybe driving the hustlers, or they are driving automobiles on and off railroad carriers, and that's roll-on, roll-off vessels. This has given women tremendous opportunities. I'll give you an example of a great story in our community. There had been a woman that was helping to support her family by cleaning homes. She now has a job at the port driving nice automobiles on and off railroad carriers, and has benefits, has a good wage and salary, and has a retirement program. She didn't have that before. So I'm really excited about the way that women have come into the industry.
How do you and other women help overcome adversity in these roles?
First of all, I think a lot of times we create the adversity for ourselves because we assume it's there or it can't be resolved. And I just encourage women, if there's something you want to do, you want to pursue, and you're passionate about it, find people that can help mentor you and how to get to that position. And just don't be afraid. There may be obstacles, but keep trying if it's something you really want to pursue.
Phyllis has over 25 years in the port industry. Very exciting news. Recently obtained the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Chief Report to deepen the Freeport Channel to 56 feet. It will soon to come online. Take us through that process and maybe some highlights from that.
Well, working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on channel improvement projects can be a career project. When I first joined Port Freeport in 1992, they were just completing the deepening of the channel to 45 feet, making it one of the deepest in Texas. It's at that point, visiting with my boss at the time, and said, it took 30 years from the time they decided to deepen the channel to 45 feet to it being completed. We're already behind on the next generation channel. So we began studying it in 2003, and I'm happy to report that toward the end of this year, we will begin dredging the first increment of the channel, and in about 5 years have it complete and be the deepest port in Texas.
Fantastic. What can we do as a region to increase awareness of STEM jobs for young women?
I think providing more opportunities for exposure to the different types of opportunities there are. I had the privilege growing up that I held a lot of different jobs from a very young age, and just developed that work ethic, and saw the opportunity in business and other areas. And I don't know that children have that same opportunity today. So creating programs in our schools is really important. Also having businesses opening up and allowing students to come into their organizations to actually see the different types of jobs, and introducing them to women role models is really, really important. In Brazos Wood High School, there was a recent success. They have a rocketry group. They participated in the Goddard rocket program. They had about 30 junior and senior age students involved, and the leader of the group was a young lady. And their first year in the program, made it to White Sands, New Mexico, launched a 20-foot-long rocket that traveled 30,000 feet in the air. Those are things that get our students excited about STEM-type programs and get our communities excited about it as well, because that brought in not only the students and the school district, but industry and business partners as well. And anyway, I just encourage more of that.
You alluded to it earlier, but any final advice just for young professionals looking to rise in the industry?
I can't emphasize enough finding your mentors, and always be, have an idea of where you want to be talk to people and seek their advice on how you can do that, and always have a really strong work ethic, protect your integrity, and be a contributor, and know that you deserve to be there in every situation.
Excellent. Thank you, Phyllis.
Thank you.
That's Phyllis Satoff, Executive Director and CEO of Freeport. We'll take our next break, be back with our next guest in just a moment. And welcome back, Livestream Cafe at the 8th annual Rise to the Top Luncheon through Greater Houston Partnership. Our third guest is Erin Herb, Division Vice President of Quality at HCA Houston Healthcare. Very unique role for you, Erin. You served as the first female incident commander for the health system during Hurricane Harvey. How did you find yourself in that role?
Okay, that's an excellent question, because I was hired as the Division Vice President of Quality and Patient Safety, which I am certainly honored to do. But as you know, with job descriptions, somewhere hidden in there, other duties as assigned was responsibility for emergency operations and emergency preparedness. And when you're not in the middle of a hurricane, that means things like, are you doing your drills? Are you coordinated with your set rack and your city partners? Are your hospitals doing the things and they need to be doing to keep patients safe in the event of an emergency? Well, during Hurricane Harvey, that became a completely different story when we went into actual real-life command operations.
As part of that, what have you been doing since then in that role?
I've been doing a lot of traveling, a lot of speaking, much like I'm doing right here today. There's a lot of people who have a lot of interest in our story. We had 19 hospitals across the division, 13 here in the Houston market that were impacted in one way or another during Harvey. And we had zero losses, zero patient losses, zero visitor losses, and zero employee losses. And so we're extremely proud of our performance. And as you can imagine, a lot of people have questions how we performed in that magnitude under such duress. And so I do a lot of speaking, particularly around what would we have done differently and areas for improvement to really share with other individuals how to react in that situation.
One of the partnership's priorities is inclusivity for all. What can we do to champion women so more female professionals can rise to the top of their fields?
I'm extremely blessed to be in healthcare, HCA Houston Healthcare. 80.8% of our workforce is actually female, and our company as a whole, our enterprise, does a lot of work around elevating women and women's resource groups. And I'm surrounded by female CNOs and CEOs, and we work with with colleges out there, schools of nursing and schools of medicine, to really elevate women in the medical field.
Many people can look back to mentors, either male or female, that helped you reach your goals today. Anybody that stands out for you?
Yes, I have a couple of CNOs in my life who have provided excellent guidance. They listen, they always have good advice and always are willing to give feedback. And I think that's the important person that you need to have in your life, who can give you feedback, both good and bad, that will help you grow.
And just so we know, we're all not as adept to the verbiage as you. A CNO is?
I'm sorry, that's a chief nursing officer, so the queen of nurses, if you will.
Absolutely. Looking kind of towards the future, what sort of trends do you see in your industry as far as opportunities for women? You already mentioned 81% or so are women, but what trends do you see for larger opportunities?
I'm seeing women certainly in the healthcare field. That's nothing new. But if we talk about my role in emergency operations, we're seeing more and more women stepping into these roles and being executives in emergency operations and in their state and city coalitions. You see a lot of women leaders, and I think that's really fantastic to see.
Any advice for young professionals trying to rise to the top in your field or others?
Yeah, develop those relationships, because it's not all about checking the boxes and earning that degree, but really get out there and make meaningful, genuine connections with individuals, because that's how you'll rise.
Erin, thanks for the time this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
That's Erin Herb, the Division Vice President of Equality at HCA Houston Healthcare. Another short break. We'll be back with our next guest as the Livestream Cafe continues. And welcome back to the Livestream Cafe. Matt Peterson with you. It's the Greater Houston Partnership's 8th annual Rise to the Top Luncheon. And my next guest, Holly Olson, Marketing Manager with Accenture. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great to have you. We've had some great guests, more to come. Tell us about Accenture and how it celebrates International Women's Day globally.
Oh, yes, this is a big one. So Accenture is in their 15th year of celebrating International Women's Day. And that's globally. We have over 140 locations celebrating today around the world. So it's been a big initiative for us. And so we celebrate what we kind of call IWD internally by releasing a piece of research every year. And it's always focused on getting to a place of equality in the workplace. And what's really great about this year's research is we've focused a lot on how workplace equality for all, not just women, really cultivates an innovation mindset. And that is a business imperative on everybody's agenda right now, is how am I more innovative? How can I make my business more innovative? Equality and diversity is an absolute starting point for that. Unique perspectives that everybody can lend, having everybody feel like they are empowered and equal in the workplace kind of gives everyone that freedom to lend an innovation perspective to things, and it's a catalyst and a driver for innovation in a company.
So we discussed the global part for Accenture. How about here in Houston?
Yes. So Houston, we've been celebrating all week long. We started actually by having the Women's Business Alliance come and visit us. We had a group of about 30, 40 women and men in the room, and we learned all about how we could get more plugged into the WBA here at the Greater Houston Partnership. Last night, we had a celebration of diversity in Houston. We brought in speakers from all areas within Houston, the city of Houston, the Greater Houston Partnership, even the Houston Astros were there. And they shared their stories of how diversity has really empowered them to make an impact in Houston and really got our people inspired and ramped up for today, which I actually just left our office. We have a full half day focused on celebrating International Women's Day. We're talking about leadership equality, uncovering our unconscious biases, just really digging deep into just what equality really means for everyone.
Well, One of the partnership priorities is inclusivity for all. What can we do to champion women so more female professionals can rise to the top in their field?
Yeah, I think when I look at that one, there's kind of two things that come to mind for me. One is advocate for each other. When you look at your network, just being able to empower each other and make everybody feel that we're all equal in some respect is really powerful, and we should be doing that for each other. And then the other one I think is accessibility. For example, our chief marketing officer was in Houston, paid Houston a visit, and she was open in so many ways, which I find really powerful for women like myself who are mid-career and really coming up, that you can learn a lot from these women who have paved the way for us. And accessibility is key to that. So I would look at that as kind of two really big ways that we could make each other feel inclusive.
How about any male or female champions for you that have helped you get to this mid-level point of your career?
It's funny. I look at two. So, and this, my mother-in-law was actually my former CEO at a company I worked for here in Houston, keeping it in the family. So I look at her. She is incredible. She's an incredibly powerful woman, and she's really inspired me in a lot of ways to really accelerate my career. And actually, there was a male that I had there as well who was my specific kind of boss and mentor that I also look up to, that have created the way. So all business related, actually.
Lastly, any general advice for young pros trying to rise to the top?
Building your network, 100%. Groups like the Women's Business Alliance, the Executive Women's Partnership, any sort of young professionals network, get in. And get in and really don't just kind of show up, be actively involved. That is just a catalyst, and it's fuel to the fire for your career here in Houston.
Holly, thanks for your time.
Yes, absolutely. Glad to be here.
All right, thanks again. Holly Olson, Marketing Manager with Accenture. We'll take another short break. Be back with our next guest as the Livestream Cafe continues. And welcome back to the Livestream Cafe. It's the Greater Houston Partnership's 8th annual Rise to the Top luncheon. And my next guest is Diane Gibbons, founder and CEO of Trumbull Unmanned. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I get to call basketball for Rice women's basketball team. They completed a perfect season in Conference USA last night, 16-0. You do some things over at Rice with drone cameras. Can you tell us more about that and how it's involved with the STEM initiative?
Sure. Oh, sorry, you got it. You got the mic.
Yeah.
I'll talk into the mic.
Yeah.
So we started Drone Camp at Rice University in 2015. BP was the initial sponsor, and we've supported several years there. So we're really excited about that. It was focused on underserved youth, and it was completely free to attendees. And so because of that, in all of our STEM efforts, similar to that, we started the Autonomy Foundation, which is spelled ME for Human-Centered AI, Digital Ethics, and then STEM Empowerment. So that is where we focus the bulk of our efforts. And within Autonomy, we focus on young girls and children, military families, as well as underserved youth. So those are our three areas. A couple things I'm really excited about right now is one, we are supporting an event with Dow DuPont in the Houston area with 500 young women on April 30th. So I'm really excited about that. And we're also working with Intel, 3DR, and Parrot and started drone scholarships for students pursuing careers towards unmanned systems.
Wonderful. And as part of that, can you tell us, as a region, what can we do to increase awareness of the STEM jobs for young women?
Sure. I would say as a region, energy companies are, in essence, technology companies. And so when we focus on saying, here are the hardware and software tools that we need to have created, working with the next generation. And so I think as a woman, as a leader, I want to be a leader irrespective of gender, but I do think that we need to serve as that example and then pour into that next generation to engage and empower them.
You have a great background, many interests, skydiving, aviation, and Trumbull Unmanned, a top 25 veteran-founded startup according to Forbes. Maybe take us through your interests and how they've helped fuel your career, and in addition to that, maybe any male or female mentors who have helped you get to this point.
Sure. And so I would say we certainly serve at the confluence of many industries, and supporting unmanned systems and robotics and analytics and energy and defense, that's many combinations. And so my path was non-linear, but it started at the Air Force Academy and started with engineering. And so that's what drove me in this area. I'm a Texan, wanted to come back to Houston. It's the energy capital of the world, so excited to be here. I would say as far as a few mentors, a couple come to mind immediately. There are many in the industry, and I'm excited to see more come up. Helen Greiner of iRobot, she's now with the Army. iRobot, if you're not familiar, they created the Roomba, but they also create a lot of robots that save lives of soldiers. Another is my best friend, Jana Donberg, who is becoming a commander of a Air Force flying squadron in Lakenheath in England today. So today she's assuming command there. I would also say my mother, even though she's not in STEM, she took my sisters and me to museums growing up. She took us all over. And my older sister is working at Lockheed Martin Skunk Works on their advanced development programs, and I'm supporting STEM here in Houston.
Finally, any advice generally for young professionals trying to rise to the top?
Sure, and I think rise to the top, I like rising because it's a process.
Yes.
And so I think determining the processes and habits that make sense for you. So looking at your mindset, looking at energy management, and not energy management in the Houston sense of the term, but managing your energy and your teams. I would also say that, find mentors and engage them early and not when you're in a problem. So as they say, the time to fix, the leaky roof is on a sunny day. And I would say that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but asking for help is a sign of strength.
Well, speaking of rise versus rising, many people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but they may underestimate what they can do in a career. Maybe take us through that process and maybe how people sell themselves short perhaps in a career and underestimating their potential.
Sure. So to break that down a little bit and going back to the mindsets and habits, if we were to focus on one thing, let's call it focused altruism for lack of better terms, if we were to focus on one thing and do one step towards that action, whether it's each day or each year, I would ask us to consider what type of society would we be in today. So I'm going to discuss that today and hopefully challenge some of the women here and men to reach their potential. And because I think if we are honest and candid with our own actions, none of us are serving and performing at our full potential, except maybe the Rice women's basketball team.
Absolutely. Undefeated regular season. Diane, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
That's Diane Gibbons, founder and CEO of Trumbull Unmanned. We'll take our final break, and our final guest will join us. It's the Livestream Cafe at the Greater Houston Partnership's 8th annual Rise to the Top luncheon. And welcome back to the Livestream Cafe. My name is Matt Peters, and it's the Greater Houston Partnership's 8th annual Rise to the Top luncheon. And my final guest, we saved the best for last, Connie Chavez. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
All right, Connie is Chief Eternal Affairs Officer, Girl Scouts of San Jacinto County. In light of women's, how do the Girl Scouts prepare girls to make the world a better place?
Well, I think one of the beauties of Girl Scouts is that it exposes girls from all backgrounds to so many unique experiences and programs that help them build their life and leadership skills. And these are skills that they carry with them through life, not just as girls. That's especially important as they find topics in the community or issues that they're passionate about. And they use their voice, they use your skills to impact positive change. And I think collectively, Girl Scouts just make such a great impact on our community, locally and globally.
One of the partnership's priorities is inclusivity for all. What can we do to champion women so more female professionals can rise to the top of their field?
I think supporting each other is the main thing. And one of the things that's very encouraging is that there's so much support for women by supporting girls, because that's the future workforce, and Girl Scouting fuels that female leadership pipeline, and there has just been such great support for the organization that supports those future leaders. So I think investing in girls at an early age kind of helps set up those women that have the skills and the voice and the determination to rise to the top.
We've all seen scouts out and about in the community selling. Can you tell us where those proceeds go?
Absolutely. So the Girl Scout Cookie Program is the largest female entrepreneurship program in the world. Girls run their cookie business annually, and all of the proceeds stay in our local community. So for the girls, it helps them fund their programs if they want to explore cybersecurity, robotics, entrepreneurship, and it helps them also fund their service projects. But the rest of the proceeds stay in our community so that we can make Girl Scouting possible for all girls. It only costs $25 to join, but the cost to deliver Girl Scouting is more closer to $300 a year per girl. So the community support really does become community support for our area.
Many of us overestimate what we can do in a year, but underestimate what we can do in a lifetime. What strides have you seen women in your industry achieve in your lifetime that you like to celebrate?
You know, I think I mentioned a while ago just the support for girls and for female leadership and empowerment. I think we're seeing a lot of women mobilize to step in and support the next generation of leaders. Girl Scouting wouldn't be possible without our volunteers, and we see women from all walks of life, all backgrounds come together to support girls, and that is making such an impact today, tomorrow, 10, 20 years from now. So I think just that whole mobilization to support the next generation of women is really powerful.
Any advice for young professionals in any fields?
I think find something you're passionate about. Don't give up. Having grit and determination goes a long way. And I also believe that you're most successful when you're trying to elevate or support someone else, whether that's a woman or a colleague or a friend. And that whole kind of collaborative leadership style is something that's, I think, characteristic of girls, and Girl Scouting helps nurture that. So help elevate each other, help support each other in whatever way is most meaningful to you.
And finally, any mentors, male or female, who have helped you reach your goals in your career?
I've been very fortunate to have both formal and informal mentors. Beth Shea was my predecessor at Girl Scouts, was very supportive, and I think Girl Scouts just fosters that in girls and internally as an organization for women, helping us try new things, learn new things, offering guidance to make sure that, we're learning. Not everything's going to be a success, but there's opportunity in failure. It's not necessarily a bad thing. And so I think just having different people, we have an amazing CEO who is just an outstanding leader and demonstrates every value of Girl Scouting in her interactions with her team. And so I've just been very fortunate to be a part of that and to work at an organization with such a strong leader.
Connie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Connie Chavez, Chief Eternal Affairs Officer, the Girl Scouts of San Jacinto Council. Connie is our final guest, and we want to remind you that the goal of WBA is to inspire, influence, and grow our members. We empower high-performing women to advance their career opportunities, form strategic partnerships, and build a network of advocates through professional development resources. That will do it from the Livestream Cafe. My name is Matt Peterson. It's great to be here at the 8th Annual Rise to the Top Luncheon through the Greater Houston Partnership.